After rebirth, I no longer wake up my sleepwalking roommate, and the entire dorm has gone crazy. A sleepwalking Mahjong maniac has appeared in the university dorm, starting a game on time every night. In my past life, I meddled and got screwed over. After rebirth, I chose to pretend to sleep and watch the show. Unexpectedly, the entire dorm went crazy, and I became the only sober spectator. This farce. Who is the real winner after all? 3 bamboos. Lin Yu suddenly sat up from the bed, her eyes still closed, yet she clearly shouted out a Mahjong term. I was lying on the bunk opposite, staring wide-eyed at the scene, my heart nearly leaping out of my throat. Wait, why does this scene feel so familiar? I instinctively glanced at my phone. September 1st, 2025, 2:15 a.m. Yes, this was my first night of college. It was also the beginning of my nightmare from my past life. My name is Su Xiao, 19 years old, and I had just been admitted to the best normal university in the city. The dormitory housed 4 people per room, and my 3 roommates were Lin Yu, a seemingly gentle and well-behaved girl from Jiangnan, Zhao Yutong, a straightforward and hearty girl from the northeast, and Wang Siki, a local who apparently came from a well-off family. In my past life, it was tonight that I first discovered Lin Yu had somnambulism, and the content of her sleepwalking was extremely bizarre. Playing Mahjong back then, I naively thought that waking a sleepwalker would scare them into having a seizure, so I carefully tried to help her back to bed, but this girl grabbed my arm and, shouting, "Kong on the flower," flung me clean across the room. The back of my head hit the corner of the desk, and I ended up with 7 stitches. From then on, I became the laughingstock of the entire dorm. Every time Lin Yu sleepwalked, I'd suffer through it. The most outrageous time, she hugged my laptop in the middle of the night, treating it like a Mahjong tile, yelling she wanted to win a pure flush, and smashed the computer in half. I went to the counselor to report it, and the counselor said, "Classmates should help each other out, just be more tolerant." When I complained to my parents, my mom said, "She's a sick girl, what's wrong with letting her have her way?" When I vented to my friends, they laughed their heads off. "Ha ha ha, your roommate sleepwalks and plays Mahjong. That's hilarious, hilarious, hilarious my ass." In those 2 years, I lost 20 pounds, and my nerves were so frayed that I relied on sleeping pills every night to fall asleep. In the end, I failed 3 courses in the final exams, lost my scholarship, and even missed out on my graduate school recommendation. And Lin Yu, her parents went through the procedures for her to become a day student, dusted off their hands, and let her go home to live, leaving me and my 2 other roommates to spend every night on edge, terrified that she might sleepwalk back again. So when I realized I had been reborn back to the first day of freshman year, I made a great decision. In this life, I will absolutely never wake up Lin Yu when she's sleepwalking again. If she wants to play Mahjong, let her play. If she wants to tear down the house, let her tear it down. It has nothing to do with me anyway. I turned over and pulled the blanket over my head, ready to go back to sleep. Bam! Lin Yu shouted again, this time even louder. I felt the bedboard shake. She must have jumped off the bed. Then came the sound of slippers pattering as she paced around the dorm. 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, she muttered while walking, as if she were arranging Mahjong tiles. I quietly lifted a corner of the blanket and saw Lin Yu, wearing pink cartoon pajamas with her long hair loose, seriously shuffling cards in the air. Her movements were very standard, clearly showing she was an experienced Mahjong player. At that moment, Zhao Yutong, who was sleeping on the lower bunk, turned over and asked drowsily, "Who's that?" Not sleeping in the middle of the night, I quickly closed my eyes and pretended to be asleep. 5 bamboo, Lin Yu shouted loudly, slapping her hand on the edge of Zhao Yutong's bed. Zhao Yutong yelped in fright and sat up abruptly. Seeing Lin Yu standing by the bed, she froze for a moment. "Lin Yu, what are you doing?" Lin Yu ignored her and continued drawing and playing cards in the air. "Hey, Lin Yu," Zhao Yutong reached out to push her. "Are you okay?" I couldn't help but sigh inwardly. In my past life, this was exactly how I was, a good Samaritan wanting to help, only to end up getting myself caught in the mess. Sure enough, Lin Yu suddenly turned around and grabbed Zhao Yutong's wrist. "Don't move. I'm about to win by self-draw." "What self-draw? Have you lost your mind?" Zhao Yutong struggled hard, but being a girl from the northeast, she had quite a bit of strength, yet she couldn't break free from Lin Yu's grip. The 2 of them remained locked in a stalemate, one desperately trying to break free, the other holding on for dear life. I couldn't bear to watch, but I didn't want to repeat the same mistake. After thinking it over, I picked up my phone, opened the video recording function, and aimed it at the two of them. I'm not getting involved anyway, it's better to record it as evidence, I said. Let go of me. Zhao Yutong panicked and grabbed a pillow with her other hand, smashing it into Lin Yu's face. Lin Yu took the hit, but became even more excited. I touched. She let go of Zhao Yutong's hand and turned around to feel for another tile. Taking advantage of the moment, Zhao Yutong shrank back into the bed, wrapping herself tightly in the quilt. Su Xiaoxiao, she lowered her voice and called to me. Quick, go check on Lin Yu. I pretended to be woken up, rubbing my eyes as I sat up. What's wrong? Lin Yu seems to be sleepwalking, Zhao Yutong said. She almost broke my hand just now. Really? I yawned. Let her swim then, it'll be fine once dawn comes. What do you mean by let her swim? Zhao Yutong asked anxiously. What if something happens to her? What could happen? I pointed at Lin Yu, who was still playing cards. Look how focused she is. More energetic than in class during the day. Zhao Yutong looked at me speechlessly, then at Lin Yu, and finally gave up. Fine, I'm going to sleep too. She lay back down, pulled the blanket over her head, and muttered under her breath, I'll have to talk to the counselor about this tomorrow. I didn't respond and continued recording. Lin Yu wandered around the dormitory for about half an hour, finally got tired, climbed back into bed, and fell asleep as soon as her head hit the pillow. I turned off my phone's recording and let out a long sigh. It seems that in this life, as long as I don't interfere, I won't get involved. The next morning, Lin Yu woke up with no memory of what had happened the night before. She greeted us as usual. Good morning, how did you all sleep last night? Zhao Yutong, with dark circles under her eyes, stared at her resentfully. What do you think? What's wrong? Lin Yu asked innocently. Was I snoring? Not snoring, Zhao Yutong said through gritted teeth. You got up in the middle of the night to play Mahjong. Playing Mahjong? Lin Yu was stunned. When did I ever know how to play Mahjong? You're asking me. Who am I supposed to ask? Zhao Yutong rolled her eyes. Last night, you played Mahjong with thin air for half an hour and nearly broke my hand. Lin Yu turned to me. Su Xiaoxiao, is that true? I nodded and showed her the video on my phone. In the video, Lin Yu, wearing a pink pajama, walked around the dorm room with disheveled hair, shouting various Mahjong terms non-stop. The scene was both eerie and amusing. After watching it, Lin Yu's face turned red in an instant. I really sleepwalked. Absolutely true, I said, and from what I know, it's best not to wake up people who are sleepwalking, or it could cause problems. What should I do then? Lin Yu panicked. I can't just get up and play Mahjong every night, can I? Why don't you go to the hospital and get it checked out? Zhao Yutong suggested. Maybe taking some medicine will help. Right. Go to the hospital. Lin Yu nodded repeatedly. I'll go register today. I watched the two of them looking so anxious, but I was secretly laughing inside. In my past life, Lin Yu had also gone to the hospital. The doctor said it was caused by too much stress and prescribed some calming medication. As a result, after taking it for half a month, her sleepwalking didn't get better, it actually got worse. Later we found out that Lin Yu had had this problem since childhood. Her grandmother was a Mahjong enthusiast and often took her, even as a baby, to play Mahjong. Over time, the sound of Mahjong became her lullaby. At night, once she fell into deep sleep, her subconscious would automatically activate Mahjong mode. This story later spread throughout the entire school, and Lin Yu became a celebrity. People would point at her as she walked by, saying, Look, it's that girl who sleepwalks and plays Mahjong. Unable to bear the stares, she eventually applied to become a day student, but that was a lifetime ago. In this life, I just want to get through my 4 years of college peacefully and never get involved in her mess again. In the afternoon, Lin Yu indeed went to the school clinic. When she came back, she was holding a box of medicine, saying it was for calming the nerves and that taking one pill before bed would be enough. The doctor said it will start working after 2 weeks, she said confidently. I smiled but said nothing that night. Lin Yu took her medicine and went to bed early. I thought that would be the end of it, but at 1 in the morning, she started up again. This time it was even more exaggerated. She jumped straight out of bed, walked barefoot on the floor, and shouted, Self-drawn. Self-drawn. I finally got a self-drawn hand. Zhao Yutong was woken up and cursed angrily. Lin Yu, are you crazy? Can you just calm down in the middle of the night? Lin Yu couldn't hear a thing and just kept on celebrating on her own. I wore my earphones and listened to music, pretending not to hear anything. Anyway, I'm not getting involved, let her make all the fuss she wants. And just like that, a week went by. Linyu would sleepwalk and play Mahjong every night, the sessions growing longer and louder. Zhao Yutong and Wang Siki were both terribly worn out by it, only I, having mentally prepared myself in advance, ended up sleeping the best. Su Xiaoxiao, how come you're not affected at all? Zhao Yutong asked me enviously. Because I have a good mindset, I said with a smile. Anyway, she won't hurt me, so why should I make things difficult for myself? In truth, I knew deep down that as long as I didn't provoke her, she couldn't harm me, but what I didn't expect was that things would soon develop in a direction I could no longer control. That night, Linyu sleepwalked as usual, but this time, she wasn't just playing Mahjong, she also started chatting with her card-playing companions. Oh dear, you're not playing your cards well, she said to one wall. I've got a pure hand, you're as good as lost. Then she turned to another wall. Old Wang, you're not having a lucky day today, want to switch seats? Finally, she spoke to the ceiling. Boss lady, another bottle of beer, please. I was utterly stunned. This wasn't just sleepwalking, this was clearly hosting a Mahjong game in her dreams. Even more terrifying, Zhao Yutong and Wang Siki also began to show abnormalities. First, Zhao Yutong suddenly sat up in the middle of the night and said to the air, Pong, I pong. Then Wang Siki followed suit, saying, Chow, I chow. The three of them ended up playing a silent Mahjong game in the dormitory, all with their eyes closed, yet their movements were eerily synchronized. I was terrified, my hair standing on end, and quickly pulled the blanket over my head. This is bad, this is really bad, this dorm is turning into a mental hospital. The next morning, when the three of us woke up, none of us remembered what happened last night, but their mental state was clearly off. Everyone looked listless and drained. I feel like I didn't sleep well last night, Zhao Yutong said with a yawn. It felt like I was dreaming the whole time, dreaming that I was playing Mahjong. Me too, Wang Siki said in surprise. I dreamed that I was playing Mahjong with a group of people I didn't know, and I even won money. Lin Yu's face turned pale. I dreamed about it too. The three of them looked at each other, and finally all turned to me. Su Xiaoxiao, what about you? Lin Yu asked. Did you dream about playing Mahjong? I shook my head. No, I slept soundly. That's not scientifically possible. Zhao Yutong was getting frustrated. Why are you the only one who's fine? I shrugged. Maybe it's because I have a good mindset, but deep down, I knew it wasn't about mindset, it was because I had already been tormented by them in my previous life, so I was long immune to it in this one. In the days that followed, the situation grew increasingly serious. The three of them played Mahjong in their sleep every night, coordinating flawlessly. One was responsible for drawing tiles, another for discarding them, and the third for keeping score. I became the only normal person. But that also made me an outsider. Su Xiaoxiao, do you have a problem with us? One day, Lin Yu suddenly asked me. Not at all. Why do you ask? I was puzzled. Because you never join our activities, she said. Every night we all play Mahjong together, and you're the only one sleeping, which makes you seem very unsociable. I almost burst out laughing. Is that what you call playing Mahjong? That's sleepwalking. Then you should join us too, Lin Yu said seriously. We're roommates, we should share joys and sorrows together. Me, what the hell kind of logic is that? I finally understand why my life was so miserable last time. It wasn't because Lin Yu was sleepwalking, it's because the whole dorm is messed up, and the contagious kind at that. Ever since that night, things in our dorm have completely spiraled out of control. Every night at 11 p.m., the lights go out, and at exactly midnight, the three of them get up on time. Lin Yu starts with 3 bamboos, Zhao Yutong follows with Peng, and Wang Siki finishes with Mahjong. The whole routine flows smoothly, even more orderly than a military drill formation. I lie in bed, wearing noise-canceling headphones, listening to them playing Mahjong with a clatter in the dorm, feeling completely unfazed. To be honest, I've gotten used to it, but others haven't. First, there were the girls from the neighboring dorm. When they went to the bathroom in the middle of the night and passed by our dormitory door, they could always hear sounds like Yao Ji, Ba Wan, ZMO, and such coming from inside. At first, they thought we were staying up late playing Mahjong and even knocked on the door to remind us. Classmates, keep it down, we still have class tomorrow. No one responded, and the sounds inside only grew louder. Later, a bold girl pressed her ear against the door and listened for a while. She realized there was no sound of Mahjong tiles being shuffled, only voices. Her face turned pale with fear, and the next day, she went straight to the advisor to report what had happened. The advisor, whose surname was Liu, was a middle-aged man in his 40s. He wore a pair of gold-rimmed glasses and looked quite refined. After hearing the report, he felt the matter was not so simple and decided to investigate personally. At 11:30 that night, Counselor Liu led a group of student cadres to the door of our dormitory. Knock, knock, a knock. I opened the door and was startled to see a crowd standing outside. Teacher Liu, what's the matter so late at night? Su Xiaoxiao, someone has reported that you've been playing Mahjong in your dorm late at night, disturbing other students' rest. Counselor Liu said sternly. We're here to check the situation. Playing Mahjong? I put on a surprised expression. No way. We went to bed long ago. Is that so? Counselor Liu gave me a suspicious look. Then why did someone say they heard the sound of Mahjong coming from your dorm? Must have been a misunderstanding, I said without flinching. Our dorm is very quiet. Just then, a loud shout suddenly came from the dorm. Self-draw, pure suit. The whole room fell silent. Instructor Liu's face instantly turned grim. What was that sound? I took a deep breath, knowing I could no longer hide it, and had to come clean. Instructor Liu, actually, my roommate Lin Yu has sleepwalking disorder. She sleepwalks and plays Mahjong every night. Sleepwalks and plays Mahjong. Instructor Liu thought she had misheard. Say that again. It's true. I pulled up the video on my phone and showed it to him. See, this was recorded a few days ago. After watching the video, Counselor Liu had a very complicated expression. He was silent for a long while before finally saying, I see. I'll get in touch with Lin Yu's parents and figure out how to handle this. Okay, thank you for your trouble. I nodded obediently. After seeing the counselor out, I returned to the dormitory and found that the three of them had already ended their battle and gone back to their beds to sleep. I breathed a sigh of relief, thinking this matter would be resolved soon, but I was wrong. The next day, Lin Yu's parents came to the school. They took Lin Yu to the best hospital in the city for a checkup. The doctor told them that Lin Yu's sleepwalking was stubborn, medication had limited effects, and psychological intervention was recommended. Psychological intervention. Lin Yu's mother was almost in tears. How long will that take? It varies from person to person. From a few months to several years, the doctor said. Moreover, during treatment, the patient needs to maintain a stable routine and mood, and try to avoid stress as much as possible. Lin Yu's father sighed. Then let's go ahead with the treatment, no matter how much it costs. But the problem was that Lin Yu couldn't keep living at the school. Her sleepwalking had already affected other classmates, and the counselor suggested she apply for a day student arrangement. I don't want to be a day student, Lin Yu cried. I don't want to live alone. I want to live together with everyone. Her mother, feeling sorry for her daughter, discussed with the counselor. Could you make an exception? We promise to get her treated as soon as possible. The counselor was also in a difficult position but ultimately agreed, requiring Lin Yu to take her medication on time and undergo regular checkups. Lin Yu agreed, but things didn't improve. Instead, they got worse, because Zhao Yutong and Wang Siki also started showing similar symptoms. At first, it was just occasionally muttering a few words in their sleep, but later it escalated to getting up every night to play Mahjong. The three of them coordinated seamlessly, moving in sync, as if they had rehearsed countless times. I looked up some information and discovered a phenomenon called sleepwalking contagion, which refers to the idea that in a specific environment, one person's sleepwalking can cause others to sleepwalk as well. I never expected something like this to happen in our dormitory. Now it's fine. 3 out of 4 are sleepwalking, leaving me as the only normal one. Every night, I lie in bed, watching them play Mahjong in the dormitory, feeling like an outsider. No, I've always been a bystander, but this feeling is strange. Clearly, I am the only one awake, yet I feel like an outcast. One weekend, I went home and told my parents about it. My dad burst out laughing after hearing it. Your dorm is way too interesting. It could be made into a movie. My mom asked worriedly, are you sleeping well at night? Do you want to change dormitories? No, I'm fine, I said. They don't bother me. Then have you ever wondered why all 3 of them sleepwalk, but you don't? My mom suddenly asked. I was taken aback for a moment. Maybe it's because I have a better mindset. No, my mom shook her head. I think it's because you don't participate. The 3 of them are a team in the dream, while you're alone in reality, so you can't fit in. When I thought about it carefully, it did seem to be the case. Lin Yu and the other 2 had established some kind of connection in their sleepwalking state, and I was excluded because I refused to take part. But wasn't that exactly what I wanted? I never wanted to get involved in their mess anyway. However, things developed beyond my expectations that night. I was sleeping when I suddenly felt someone shaking my bed. I opened my eyes and saw Lin Yu standing by my bedside, her eyes tightly shut. Muttering, "Three missing one, three missing one, what three missing one?" I asked groggily. "Playing Mahjong, 3 players waiting for one," Lin Yu replied mechanically. "Are you coming?" I jolted awake with a start, completely sober. I looked down and saw Zhao Yutong and Wang Siki already up, the 3 of them gathered around my bed, staring at me in unison. The scene was scarier than a horror movie. "I'm not going, you guys have fun without me." I curled up in the blanket, my voice trembling. "No way, it's 3 missing one, you have to come," Lin Yu said and reached out to pull me. I quickly dodged, jumped off the bed from the other side, and ran to the door. "Don't come near me, I'm warning you, I've trained before." The 3 of them didn't listen at all and slowly closed in on me. I panicked and reached for the door, only to find it locked from the inside. "Where's the key? Where is it?" I searched all my pockets but couldn't find it. That's when I remembered, the key was on the desk, right behind them. I was trapped. "Come on, let's play Mahjong." Lin Yu smiled as she walked toward me, her smile looking especially eerie in the moonlight. "Help," I shouted, rushing into the bathroom and locking the door behind me. A knock came from outside. "Come out, we're one short, hurry up." I crouched on the toilet, trembling. What kind of earthly suffering is this? I finally get a second chance at life, only to be trapped in the bathroom by 3 sleepwalking roommates. No, I have to find a way to save myself. I pulled out my phone, wanting to call for help, but it was 2 in the morning, not the right time to call anyone. In the end, I dialed 110. "Hello, this is the emergency dispatch center. How can I help you, officer? Please help me," I whispered. "My roommates are sleepwalking, and they're trying to drag me into a game of Mahjong." There was a few seconds of silence on the other end of the line. "Miss, are you sure you're not dreaming?" "I'm absolutely sure." I was on the verge of tears. "They're blocking me outside the door right now, and I can't get out." "Then lock the door, and we'll send someone over right away." After hanging up, I felt a little more at ease, but the knocking outside grew more urgent, and the 3 of them started ramming the door with their bodies. Bang, bang, bang. The bathroom door was on the verge of collapsing. I thought desperately, if the door was broken down, I would have no choice but to fight them. Fortunately, the police arrived quickly. 10 minutes later, I heard the sirens outside the dormitory, followed by the sound of the dorm matron unlocking the door. "What's going on? Who called the police?" A deep male voice rang out. "It was me, I'm in the bathroom," I shouted loudly. The police knocked on the door. "Are you okay, classmate?" "I'm okay, but I'm afraid to go out. My roommate is still outside." The police seemed to have seen the scene outside and fell silent for a moment, then said, "Come out first, we've got the situation under control." I cautiously opened the door and saw that my 3 roommates had already been pinned down on the bed by the police and were struggling. "Let me go. I want to play Mahjong," Lin Yu shouted. "Full flush, I win," Zhao Yutong shouted along. Wang Siki was the quietest, but she too kept squirming restlessly. The police officers had clearly never encountered such a scene, looking at each other in bewilderment. "What's going on here?" the leading police officer asked me. I briefly explained what had happened and showed him the previous video. After watching it, the officer was silent for a long time, then said, "Classmate, is there something wrong with the feng shui in your dormitory?" Finally, the police helped me contact the counselor and my parents. Lin Yu's parents rushed to the school overnight and took her away. Zhao Yutong and Wang Siki were also picked up by their respective families. I was the only one left in the dormitory. I sat in the empty dormitory, looking at the 4 beds, suddenly feeling an indescribable emotion. Relieved, or lost, I don't know, but I know this isn't over yet, because the next day, I heard some news. Lin Yu and the other 2 were sent to the same hospital for treatment, and the 3 of them started sleepwalking and playing Mahjong again in the hospital, even getting the patients in the next ward to join in now. The neurology department of that hospital has turned into a temporary Mahjong parlor, and me, as the only surviving normal person, became a celebrity across the entire school. Walking down the street, people would always point at me and say, "Look, that's Su Xiaoxiao, her roommates all went sleepwalking to play Mahjong, and she's the only one who's fine." Some people even came up to me and asked, "Hey classmate, what's your secret? Teach me, please. I don't want to get infected either." I was caught between laughter and tears and could only tell them, The secret is, mind your own business, but... Even as I said this, I found it ironic myself, because I suddenly realized that perhaps, from the very beginning, I should not have stood by and done nothing. If I had helped Lin Yu solve the problem sooner, maybe things wouldn't have come to this. Unfortunately, there is no cure for regret in this world. However, since heaven has given me a chance to be reborn, I must not make the same mistakes again. This time, I will take the initiative and completely solve this problem, even if it means I have to learn how to play Mahjong. After making the decision, I immediately took action. First, I found Lin Yu's primary physician and learned about her condition in detail. The doctor told me that Lin Yu's sleepwalking stemmed from subconscious memories in her childhood, and the recent academic pressure had worsened her symptoms. The best treatment is to help her release stress through psychological counseling, the doctor said. But this process is quite lengthy and requires patience. Is there a quick and effective method? I asked. The doctor thought for a moment and said, there is a method called scene reenactment therapy, which involves simulating the scenario that triggers sleepwalking in a safe environment, allowing the patient to re-experience it while awake, thereby eliminating the subconscious fear. You mean, let Lin Yu play Mahjong while she's still conscious, something like that? The doctor nodded. But the precondition is that she is willing to cooperate, and we need a professional guide. I took a deep breath. I'll be that guide. The doctor looked at me in surprise. Do you know how to play Mahjong? No, I said honestly, but I can learn. The doctor hesitated for a moment but eventually agreed. He recommended a psychological counselor to me, who was specifically responsible for guiding me on how to implement scene reproduction therapy. At the same time, I began frantically studying everything about Mahjong. First, I bought a full set of Mahjong textbooks online. Introduction to Mahjong. Mahjong for advanced players. The psychology of Mahjong. Stacked up, they were taller than my school textbooks. At first, I couldn't even figure out the rules. Terms like pong, kong, chow, and win left me completely confused, but I gritted my teeth and persevered. Apart from attending classes and eating, I spent all my remaining time playing Mahjong. A week later, I finally grasped the basic rules. 2 weeks later, I was already able to win a few rounds in the game. 3 weeks later, I could even hold my own against the AI in a match. I felt the time was right, so I found Lin Yu and told her about my plan. You want to teach me how to play Mahjong? Lin Yu's eyes widened. Not teach you, but play with you, I corrected. The doctor said you need to practice Mahjong in a clear state of mind to eliminate the fear buried in your subconscious. But, I don't know how to play Mahjong, Lin Yu said hesitantly. It's okay, I don't know how either, I lied. We can learn together. Lin Yu hesitated for a long time, but finally agreed. We arranged to meet at the school's psychological counseling room. Counselor Teacher Lee gave us a task: play Mahjong on a simulated Mahjong table 3 times a week, 2 hours each session. Remember, you're not competing, you're relaxing, Teacher Lee said. Treat Mahjong as a form of entertainment, not a burden. The first practice session was extremely awkward. Lin Yu and I sat facing each other, with a folding table between us, the Mahjong tiles laid out on it. You draw first, I said. How do you touch? Lin Yu asked. Like this, just touch it with your hand. I demonstrated. Lin Yu imitated me, reached out and touched a card, then asked, and then, play the card. I didn't know how to explain it either. The two of them just stared at each other, neither making a move for a long time. Maybe we should check the tutorial first, I suggested. Good idea, Lin Yu said, relieved. We pulled out our phones, found a few Mahjong tutorial videos, and started learning as we watched. After watching for half an hour, Lin Yu suddenly said, I think I get it. Get what? Why I sleepwalk and play Mahjong. She pointed at the screen and said, look. The way this streamer plays cards is exactly the same as the movements in my dreams. I leaned in to take a look, and sure enough, it was, in the video, a middle-aged man is playing Mahjong. His movements exaggerated as he slams each tile onto the table with force, shouting pong, kong, Mahjong, as he goes. When I was a kid, my grandma used to play Mahjong just like that, Lin Yu recalled. She would always hold me while playing and shouting. Back then, I thought it was fun, so I learned it. So subconsciously, you associate playing Mahjong with happiness? I asked. Maybe, Lin Yu said with a bitter smile. But now, the pain outweighs the joy. I patted her on the shoulder. It's okay, we'll help you find happiness again. In the days that followed, we practiced 3 times a week without fail. Gradually, Linyu began to get used to playing Mahjong while fully awake. She was no longer nervous or afraid, and sometimes she even laughed out loud. Su Xiao Xiao, you know what, she suddenly said to me one day. I used to really hate this problem of mine, feeling like it made me a monster, but now I realize that playing Mahjong can actually be a perfectly normal thing. Of course it's normal, I said. There are hundreds of millions of people playing Mahjong across the country. If you're a monster, then the whole nation is a monster too. Linyu was amused by my words. Thank you, Su Xiao Xiao. What is there to thank? We're roommates, I said casually, but regretted it the moment the words left my mouth. Because I remembered what happened in my past life back then, I thought the same way. I believed that roommates should help each other, but in the end, I got dragged into it. But now it's different. Now, I actively choose to help her, rather than being passively pulled in. This feeling is quite strange. A month later, Lin Yu's sleepwalking symptoms had significantly eased, although it still occurred occasionally. The frequency dropped from once a day to once a week, and the duration had shortened considerably. The doctor said this was a tremendous improvement, and that if she continued with the treatment, there was hope for a full recovery. But a new problem arose. Zhao Yutong and Wang Siki were still lying in the hospital. Their symptoms were more severe than Lin Yu's, because they had been infected and had already developed a fixed sleepwalking pattern in their subconscious. To cure them, we must get them to participate in the treatment as well, Teacher Li said. But they are currently in a state of resistance and are unwilling to cooperate. Why? I asked. Because in their subconscious, playing Mahjong is a way to escape reality, Teacher Li explained. They face immense pressure, academic stress, family pressure, interpersonal tensions, and so on. Mahjong provides them with an outlet to vent, which is why they are unwilling to give it up. Then what should we do? We need to identify the sources of their stress and address the root of the problem. I thought about it and decided to talk to Zhao Yutong and Wang Siki separately. First, I spoke with Zhao Yutong. She is from northeast China, has a bold and straightforward personality, and usually seems carefree, as if she has no worries. But after a deeper conversation, I realized she actually carries a lot of pressure. My family isn't well off, and my parents worked hard to support me through college, Zhao Yutong said, her eyes red. I'm afraid that if I don't do well academically, I'll let their expectations down. So you use sleepwalking and playing Mahjong to escape reality? I asked. I don't know either. She lowered her head. Maybe it's just that in dreams, I don't have to think about anything. It's quite relaxing, but you're only making things worse this way. I said. What your parents want to see isn't how many points you scored, but that you're living a healthy and happy life. Zhao Yutong was silent for a long time, then nodded. Next was Wang Siki. She's a local, from a well-off family, so in theory, she shouldn't have much pressure, but she told me her pressure came from her parents. They always compare me to other people's children, Wang Siki said helplessly. So-and-so got such and such a score, so-and-so won a scholarship, so-and-so found a good job. No matter what I do, I can never measure up to others. So you chose to escape? Maybe so, she sighed. In my dreams, no one compares me to anyone else. I can do whatever I want. But have you ever thought that the reason your parents compare you to others is because they love you? I said. They want you to become better. They just go about it the wrong way. Wang Siki froze. You should communicate with them and tell them how you feel, I continued, instead of punishing yourself in this way. Wang Siki burst into tears. That night, I wrote a letter to each of them, encouraging them to bravely face their own problems. I don't know if those letters were useful, but at least they started cooperating with the treatment. 2 months later, Lin Yu had fully recovered. She no longer sleepwalked to play Mahjong and was able to get a good night's sleep every day. Zhao Yutong and Wang Siki recovered a bit slower, but they also showed significant improvement. The doctor said that at the current rate, they could be discharged from the hospital in another month. I breathed a sigh of relief, thinking everything was heading in the right direction. But I forgot one thing, myself. During these 3 months of treatment, I spent every day playing Mahjong with them, from morning till night, from clear-headed to dazed. Before I knew it, I had also become addicted to Mahjong. During the day in class, my mind was filled with the sounds of Pong, Kong, and Win. At night while sleeping, my hands would involuntarily make the motion of drawing tiles. The scariest part was when I woke up in the middle of the night and found myself standing in the middle of the dormitory, holding a book in my hand, shouting, self-drawn, startled. I quickly threw the book away and ran back to bed. Damn, I hope I haven't been infected. As it turns out, my worries weren't unfounded. I really started sleepwalking and playing Mahjong, although it wasn't as severe as with Lin Yu and the others. I would occasionally get up in the middle of the night, reaching out and playing cards against thin air. I once had the most absurd sleepwalking episode where I wandered over to the door of the neighboring dormitory, knocked until someone opened it, and said to the girl who answered, "We need a fourth for Mahjong, you in?" That girl let out a terrified scream, waking up the entire floor. When I was startled awake, I found myself standing in the hallway, surrounded by a crowd of people all staring at me with horrified expressions. "Su Xiao, are you okay?" someone asked. What happened to me?" I looked around blankly. "You were sleepwalking just now," someone said. "You came to our dormitory door and said you wanted to play Mahjong." Me, it's over. I've fallen victim too. The next day, I went to seek help from Teacher Lee. "Teacher Lee, I think I've been infected too," I said dejectedly. Teacher Lee was not surprised at all. "I expected this to happen." "What?" I was stunned. "Think about it. You've been exposed to Mahjong every day for the past 3 months, and in a highly tense state at that," Teacher Lee said. "Your subconscious has long accepted this setting. It's just that your willpower was strong before and managed to suppress it." "Then what should I do?" "Simple. Since you can't suppress it, just let it be," Teacher Lee said. "You can try to treat sleepwalking and playing Mahjong as a normal physiological response. Don't reject it, and don't be afraid of it." "But I'm scared," I said. "What if one night I run outside naked?" Teacher Lee smiled. "Don't worry, sleepwalking usually doesn't lead to actions beyond your cognitive scope. Since you only know how to play Mahjong, it means your subconscious only contains Mahjong." Me, what kind of comfort is that? But what Teacher Lee said makes sense. Since there's no escape, I might as well accept it calmly. So, I began to adjust my mindset and treat sleepwalking Mahjong as a hobby. Every night before going to bed, I would give myself a hint. What kind of hand will I dream of tonight? How many wins will I get? Gradually, I even managed to control my actions in my dreams. For example, I could choose not to play Mahjong and instead play poker, or simply do nothing and focus on sleeping. This really surprised me, but Lin Yu and the others weren't so lucky. Although they were cured of sleepwalking, they became dependent on Mahjong. They felt uncomfortable if they didn't play a few rounds every day. So the atmosphere in our dorm turned into this. During the day, the 4 of us went to class, ate, and studied together. At night, we gathered to play Mahjong. From sleepwalking Mahjong to awake Mahjong, from passive to active, from fear to enjoyment. Sometimes I wonder, has this actually been cured, or has it worsened? But anyway, as long as everyone is happy, that's what matters. Before we knew it, it was finals season. Our dorm's Mahjong skills had improved by leaps and bounds, reaching a level where we could represent the school in competitions. Coincidentally, the school held a campus Mahjong God tournament with a prize of 5,000 yuan. After seeing the notice, Lin Yu excitedly said, "Girls, should we sign up?" "Absolutely." Zhao Yutong slammed the table. "We're definitely getting that 5,000 yuan. But we've only been learning for 3 months. Can we really do it?" Wang Siki was a bit worried. "What's there to be afraid of?" I said. "We've gone through real combat training. Those ordinary contestants are no match for us." So, the 4 of us signed up. On the day of the competition, the gymnasium was packed with people. The contestants came from various colleges. Some were seasoned players, others were newcomers. But without exception, they were all confident in their skills. The first round was an elimination match, reducing 16 teams to 8. The opponents we drew were 4 boys from the School of Computer Science. They looked experienced and came at us with an aggressive attitude right from the start. "Ladies, don't cry if you lose," one of the boys teased. "Don't worry, we won't cry," Lin Yu said with a smile. "You guys better not weasel out of it if you lose." The match began. In the first round, we played steadily, testing the opponent's strength. In the second round, we started to step up, gradually gaining the upper hand. In the third game, we completely crushed them, leaving our opponents utterly defeated. In the end, we advanced to the quarterfinals with a score of 3-0. Those guys lost fair and square, and before leaving, they even asked for our contact info, saying they wanted to learn from us. The second round was the quarterfinals, and our opponents were senior students from the literature department. Their skills are much better than those of the computer science boys, but still a bit behind compared to us. We won again with a score of 3-1 in the semifinals. We faced off against the burly guys from the sports college. They were tall and imposing, with an intimidating presence, but playing Mahjong is all about brains. not strength. We narrowly won 3-2 in the finals. We faced last year's champions, the math department's top students. They were widely regarded as the favorites to win, with everyone said to be proficient in probability theory and game theory, playing Mahjong as precisely as solving math problems. This is going to be tough, Xiao Yutong whispered. They're too strong, don't be afraid. I reassured, we have a secret weapon. What secret weapon? Sleepwalking training method. I smiled mysteriously. The finals began. In the first game, we deliberately showed weakness to make the opponent underestimate us. In the second game, we suddenly surged in force, disrupting the opponent's rhythm. In the third game, we unleashed our ultimate move, the dreamlike playstyle, which involves playing entirely by instinct without considering any strategy. This move indeed worked. The math prodigies were thrown off by our unconventional play, making mistakes left and right. In the end, we won the match 3-2. The whole crowd erupted. The four of us hugged each other, crying and laughing at the same time. We had the 5,000 yuan prize in hand, but what made us even happier was that we had proven that sleepwalking through a mahjong game could actually be a skill. At the award ceremony, the principal personally presented us with the trophy. He shook my hand and said, "Su Xiaoxiao, your performance was absolutely brilliant. On behalf of the school, I congratulate you." "Thank you, Principal," I said with a smile. "By the way, I heard that someone in your dormitory used to sleepwalk and play mahjong," the principal asked curiously. "Yes, but everyone is fine now," I said. "That's good," the principal nodded. "But I think you could turn this experience into a paper. It might even get published." I was taken aback for a moment, then smiled. "Great idea, Principal." On the way back, Lin Yu suddenly asked me, "Su Xiaoxiao, do you think this counts as a blessing in disguise?" "What do you mean?" "Think about it. If I hadn't sleepwalked and played mahjong, we wouldn't have learned how to play, let alone won the competition," Lin Yu said. "So, sometimes bad things can turn into good things." "Yeah," I sighed, "that's just how life is. What you think is a disaster might just be a gift in another form." Back at the dorm, we split the prize money, 1,250 yuan each. Zhao Yutong said she would send the money home to buy some nice food for her parents. Wang Siki said she was going to buy a piece of clothing she had been reluctant to get. Lin Yu said she was going to treat herself to a nice meal. As for me, I saved the money and planned to buy a book on psychology. After going through all this, I developed a strong interest in psychology. I wanted to know just how powerful the human subconscious is and how to use it to improve life. Perhaps this is the meaning of my rebirth, not to escape problems, but to solve them, not to look after only myself, but to benefit the world. Though I am just an ordinary college student, I can still help those around me in my own way. Thinking of this, I suddenly felt that the future was full of hope. After winning the campus Mahjong God competition, our dormitory became completely famous in school. Walking on the road, people would always recognize us and greet us warmly. "Hey, Mahjong gods." When the cafeteria auntie served us food, she would always scoop an extra spoonful of meat. The librarian would deliberately reserve the best seats for us when they saw us. Even the counselor would give us a thumbs up when they saw us, saying, "You brought honor to our college." This feeling of being the center of attention was indeed exhilarating, but with it came even greater challenges. First, there were invitations from various clubs, chess clubs, esports clubs, debate clubs. All wanted to recruit us to represent them in competitions. Next came media interviews. The school newspaper, radio station, TV station, all rushed to report on our legendary story. Finally, there were challenges from various experts. Some people were unconvinced, thinking we were just lucky, and wanted to test their skills against us. We turned all of these down without exception. "We just want to study hard, not become internet celebrities," Lin Yu said. "Exactly. Playing mahjong is just a hobby. It shouldn't interfere with our studies." Zhao Yutong agreed. "Besides, we don't want to make too many enemies," Wang Siki added. "But there is one thing we cannot refuse, that is the invitation for the Provincial University Mahjong Championship. This competition is jointly organized by the Provincial Department of Education and the Sports Bureau. Aiming to promote a healthy and civilized mahjong culture, universities across the province will send their teams to participate, and the competition is very fierce. The organizing committee heard about the Mahjong Master Dormitory at our school and specifically sent an invitation, hoping that we could represent the school in the competition. The principal took this very seriously and personally talked to us. "Classmates, this is a great opportunity to win honor for our school," the principal said earnestly. I hope you will seriously consider it and not let the school's expectations down. But principal, we've only been studying for a few months, and our skills are limited. Lin Yu tried to decline. Don't be so modest, the principal said with a smile. The fact that you can defeat last year's champion shows you have considerable strength. I believe you will achieve great results, but we still have to prepare for the final exams. Wang Siki made an excuse. Exams can be deferred. The principal waved his hand grandly. The school will provide you with every possible convenience. We exchanged glances, knowing there was no backing out. All right, we'll give it a try, I agreed on behalf of everyone. As we walked out of the principal's office, Lin Yu complained, Su Xiao. Why did you agree? We don't have that kind of ability. There's no way around it, since the principal has already spoken. Can we really refuse? I said. Besides, this is also a chance to gain experience, even if we don't win. At least we'll broaden our horizons. You say that so easily, Zhao Yutong sighed. But that's a provincial competition, packed with top-tier talent. What's there to be afraid of? I patted her on the shoulder. We have a secret weapon, not that dream training method again, Wang Siki asked. No, this time it's real kung fu, I said. From now on, we're going to do some hellish training. Over the next month, we kicked off hell mode every morning. We got up at 6, started with 2 rounds of warm-up, attended classes in the morning, continued practicing during the lunch break. After school, we kept at it until 10 at night. Our training included solidifying basic rules, advanced tactical drills, mental toughness training, and team coordination practice. To improve our skills, we specially invited a professional coach, retired old Professor Wang. In his youth, Professor Wang was a professional player on the provincial team and had won countless awards. When he heard that we were going to participate in the provincial competition, he voluntarily offered to coach us. You have a good foundation, but there are still many shortcomings, Professor Wang pointed out bluntly. For example, your card playing speed is too slow, your card memorizing ability is too weak, and you are easily distracted by your opponents. So how should we improve? I asked. Practice more, think more, and summarize more, Uncle Wang said. Mahjong is a discipline. You can't win by brute force alone. Under Uncle Wang's guidance, our skills improved by leaps and bounds. A month later, we could already hold our own against Uncle Wang. Not bad, not bad. You've made great progress, Uncle Wang said with satisfaction. At this rate, finishing in the top 3 at the provincial competition is no problem. Really, we were overjoyed. But don't forget, the competition is not just a test of skill, but also a battle of psychology, Grandpa Wang reminded us. When facing a strong opponent, you must keep a steady mindset and not lose your composure. We firmly kept his words in mind. The day of the provincial competition finally arrived. The competition was held at the city sports stadium, with 32 university teams from across the province participating. The venue was packed with people, and the atmosphere was electric. We walked into the arena in our uniform team shirts, with the words XX Normal University Mahjong God Team printed across the chest, striding in with an air of confidence. Wow, so many people, Lin Yu said nervously, grabbing my hand. Don't be nervous, just treat it like our usual practice sessions, I reassured her. The draw results came out, and we were placed in Group C, along with the University of Technology, Agricultural University, and University of Finance and Economics. All 3 schools are very strong, Uncle Wang analyzed on the side. The University of Technology was the runner-up last year, Agricultural University came in 4th, and the University of Finance and Economics placed 6th. If you want to advance, you must defeat at least 2 of them. Got it. We nodded. The first match was against the University of Technology. The 4 players sent by the opposing team were all male, each with a stoic expression, clearly seasoned veterans of many battles. Once the match began, the opposing team adopted an aggressive strategy, winning consecutive hands right from the start and quickly taking the lead. Don't panic, stay steady, I whispered to my teammates in the second round. We adjusted our strategy and adopted a defensive counterattack approach. The opposing team, eager to extend their lead, instead revealed their weaknesses. We seized the opportunity and won 2 consecutive rounds. In the third game, both sides were locked in a stalemate. The score seesawed back and forth, with neither able to pull ahead. At the critical moment, Lin Yu performed exceptionally well, winning 3 consecutive self-drawn hands, helping us secure the victory in the end. We defeated the University of Technology 3-1. Getting off to a strong start, the second match was against the Agricultural University. The players from the Agricultural University are known for their steady play and excel at protracted battles. They remain calm and composed, advancing step by step, which made us feel very uncomfortable. We lost the first game, we lost the second game as well. In the third game, we fought with our backs against the wall and finally managed to win one round, but in the fourth game, the opponent once again demonstrated their strong strength and won by a narrow margin. In the end, we lost to the Agricultural University with a score of 1-3. It's okay, there's still a chance, Uncle Wang encouraged us. As long as we beat the University of Finance and Economics, we can advance. The third match was against the University of Finance and Economics. The players from the University of Finance and Economics were known for their flexibility and adaptability, skilled at adjusting their tactics based on their opponent's characteristics. Having learned from the previous match, we adopted an aggressive strategy from the very beginning. We won the first game, the opponent tied it in the second. We took the lead again in the third, they caught up once more in the fourth. In the deciding game, both sides gave it their all. The atmosphere on the field was incredibly tense, with the audience holding their breath. At the very last moment, I drew a crucial tile and successfully completed my hand. We won. Advancing as the second place in the group, we made it to the quarterfinals. In the knockout stage, our opponent was last year's champion, University of Science and Technology. The University of Science and Technology's strength was clearly a cut above the other schools. Their players not only had superb skills but also excellent mental fortitude, leaving almost no weaknesses. In the first game, we were caught off guard and quickly lost. In the second game, we adjusted our tactics and tried to counterattack, but the opponent was well prepared and won again. In the third game, we gave it our all and even took the lead at one point, but in the end, we fell short. 0-3. We were swept out of the series. Although we lost, we were not discouraged. After all, the opponent was the defending champion, so losing to them was no shame. After the game, the captain of the University of Science and Technology came over to shake our hands. You played well, keep up the good work next year. Thank you, I said with a smile. You guys are great too. Good luck with your title defense. In the end, the University of Science and Technology successfully defended their title. The Agricultural University took second place, and the Polytechnic University came in third. Although we didn't secure a ranking, as a first-time participating team, making it to the top 8 was no small feat. More importantly, through this competition, we learned a lot and made many friends. After returning to school, the principal personally met with us and praised our performance. Although you didn't win a medal, you have already brought honor to the school, the principal said. I hope you will continue to work hard and strive for even better results next year. Thank you, Principal. We will, we said in unison. That night, the four of us gathered in the dormitory, eating takeout while reviewing the match. We actually had a chance to beat the University of Science and Technology, Lin Yu said reluctantly. It was just a sliver short in the third game. Yeah, too bad I messed up at the end, Zhao Yutong said, smacking his head in frustration. Don't blame yourself. We'll just try again next time. Wang Siki comforted him. Yes, we'll fight again next year. I raised my drink. Cheers to next year's victory. Cheers. At that moment, I felt an unprecedented sense of unity and warmth. Although we had once been troubled by sleepwalking mahjong games, now, playing mahjong has become a bond of our friendship. Perhaps this is the arrangement of fate. After the provincial competition ended, our lives returned to calm. Every day, we attended classes, ate meals, and played mahjong, living a fulfilling and joyful life. But one thing has always lingered in my mind, leaving me unsettled. That was Lin Yu's sleepwalking disorder. Although she hadn't had an episode in a long time, I knew it was only temporary. If the root cause wasn't addressed, it would eventually recur. I decided to take action. I found Teacher Li and consulted about a deeper treatment plan. Lin Yu's situation is quite unique, Teacher Li said. Her somnambulism stems from a childhood trauma. To fully cure her, we need to find the root of that trauma. What is the root? I asked. As far as I know, Lin Yu's parents divorced when she was young, and she was raised by her grandmother, Teacher Li said. Her grandmother was very kind to her, but she had a habit, playing mahjong. So, in Lin Yu's subconscious, playing mahjong equates to a sense of security. What should we do now? There are two methods, Teacher Li said. One is to help her rebuild a sense of security, and the other is to make her confront the trauma head-on and completely let go of the past. which method is more effective? The second one, Teacher Lee said, but the risk is also greater, as she might not be able to withstand the blow. I pondered for a moment and made a decision. I'll go with the second one. Teacher Lee looked at me, a glimmer of approval flashing in his eyes. Are you sure? Sure, I said firmly. I can't let her live in the shadows for the rest of her life. Thus, under Teacher Lee's guidance, I began to implement a bold plan. First, I found Lin Yu's grandmother, the elderly woman, now in her 70s, is still in good health. After hearing about her granddaughter's situation, she felt very remorseful. It's all my fault. I shouldn't have held her while playing Mahjong when she was little, the grandmother said, wiping away her tears. Grandma, it's not your fault. I comforted her. You love her. It's just that your approach wasn't quite right. What can I do now? I need you to cooperate with me and put on a show. The second step. I planned a special Mahjong game. The location was chosen in the old house where Lin Yu lived. As a child, the time was set for the weekend, and the participants included Lin Yu, me, Zhao Yutong, Wang Siki, and Lin Yu's grandmother. After everything was ready, I brought Lin Yu to the old house. What are we doing here? Lin Yu asked, puzzled. I have a surprise for you, I said mysteriously, pushing open the door. Everything in the room remained exactly as it was 20 years ago. Old-fashioned furniture, yellowed walls, and that familiar Mahjong table. Grandma sat at the Mahjong table, smiling and waving at her. Yeah, come quick, we're three waiting for one. Lin Yu froze, her eyes instantly welling up with tears. Grandma, come on, play around with Grandma, said Grandma, just like when you were little. Lin Yu hesitated for a moment, but eventually sat down at the Mahjong table. 4 people, 1 table of Mahjong, and the game began. At first, Lin Yu was a bit reserved, but as the game went on, she gradually relaxed. Pong, she called out, her voice tinged with a long-lost joy. Kong, Grandma replied. Mahjong, I said with a smile. Everyone burst into laughter. Just then, Lin Yu suddenly stopped, tears streaming down her face. What's wrong? I was startled. I remember now, Lin Yu choked up and said, when I was little, every time my parents argued, my grandmother would hold me and play Mahjong. Back then, I felt that as long as I was playing Mahjong, I wouldn't be scared anymore. So you've been using Mahjong as a way to escape reality? I asked. Yeah. Lin Yu nodded, but now I understand that running away doesn't solve anything. I should face things bravely instead of hiding in Mahjong. Grandma held her hand. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's Grandma's fault for leading you astray. No, Grandma, you didn't lead me astray. Lin Yu wiped away her tears. You taught me to be strong. You taught me to be optimistic. It's just that I didn't use that strength well myself. So now, are you willing to start over? I asked. Lin Yu looked at me, then at Grandma, and finally smiled. I am willing. That night, we talked for a long time in the old house. Lin Yu told us that she had always hated her parents, hated them for abandoning her. But now she understood that everyone has their own unavoidable difficulties. After her parents divorced, they both tried to fight for custody of her, but due to limited financial circumstances, they ultimately had to leave her with Grandma. They don't not love me, they just don't know how to love me, Lin Yu said softly. Now I understand. I held her hand. So, are you willing to forgive them? Yes, I am, Lin Yu smiled, and forgive myself too. After that day, Lin Yu seemed like a different person. She was no longer afraid of the night, nor did she resist sleep. She even took the initiative to call her parents and poured out her true feelings to them. On the other end of the line, her parents were sobbing uncontrollably. A month later, Lin Yu's parents made a special trip to the school to see her. The family of 3 embraced tightly, crying their hearts out. Zhao Yutong, Wang Siki, and I stood by, silently applauding them. That's wonderful. Zhao Yutong wiped the corner of her eye. Yeah, Wang Siki sighed emotionally. It feels so good to have family. I smiled but said nothing, because I suddenly remembered my past life. At that time, I was too busy blaming fate for its unfairness to realize that perhaps all the hardships were meant to shape me into a better version of myself. If it weren't for Lin Yu's sleepwalking, I wouldn't have learned to play Mahjong, wouldn't have met so many good friends, and wouldn't have understood what true courage and responsibility really mean. So, rather than saying we were saving Lin Yu, it's more accurate to say she saved us. In her own way, she taught us how to love, how to be tolerant, and how to face life's setbacks. Now, everything is complete. Lin Yu's sleepwalking was completely cured and never recurred. Zhao Yutong received the scholarship and fulfilled the promise to her parents, Wang Siki reconciled with her parents and was no longer troubled by the anxiety of comparison, and I found my direction in life, to become a psychological counselor and help more people like Linyu. On graduation day, the four of us gathered in the dormitory for the last time. Come on, one last round. Linyu took out the Mahjong tiles. All right, we said in unison. That round, we played with extraordinary seriousness and joy. When it ended, Linyu suddenly said, "Thank you." "For what?" I asked. "For not giving up on me," she said with red-rimmed eyes. "Especially you, Su Xiao Xiao. Without you, I might still be sleepwalking through my life." "You fool," I hugged her. "We're roommates. Of course we have to help each other." "That's right, roommates for life." Zhao Yutong and Wang Siki also gathered around. The four of us hugged tightly, tears and laughter mingling together. Outside the window, the sunlight was just right, and the breeze was gentle. A new life has just begun. What do you think after hearing this story? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. I'm looking forward to hearing from you.